Hello, everybody. My name is Juan Carlos Brando. Thank you so much for having us today. And I hope you are enjoying your lunch. If you are having lunch right now, we're going to have a time, as usual, 25 to 30 minutes to talk about the questions that you have, general questions about immigration. Today, we have the attorney Frank Krajenki, who is one of the experts in the law firm of the attorney Margaret W. Wong, that has been working in this law firm for a while, but also he has a lot of experience on this immigration field. So we thank everybody to join us. And we also thank the attorney Frank Krajenki for having us today and being able to spend some time listening to his awesome answers. So, good afternoon, attorney Frank. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Juan Carlos. I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's getting a little warmer here down in Atlanta. So that's very good. It's been really cold in the last
Yeah.
few days. And I
Yeah.
guess in Cleveland, it has been very cold.
Yes.
Well, but it's getting warmer. So that's good news.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Attorney Frank, so we have a lot of questions coming from our audience every single day about what's going to happen next year with Title 42, what is going to happen with the comprehensive reform that was proposed a couple years ago, and we haven't had an answer yet. So some people say that 2023 is going to be the breakout year for some requests that have been placed in the Congress or in the Senate uh, to help immigrants in the United States. So,
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, Title 42 has been locked up in the courts. That's where the states have tried to intervene in the Biden administration's um, limitation of the one section of 42B or one section of Title 42 that prohibited or that gave the government authority to limit immigration because of COVID. And now that COVID has kind of gone away, and not 100%, but not like it was, it's almost as if this Title 42 that they're fighting about is become irrelevant. It's irrelevant in fact because of the limit, the going down of COVID. It's not. It's in law. It's not because it's still before the Supreme Court of the United States.
So, attorney, in this case, that we know this is um, health. This is health based.
Yes.
But now we have another kind of issues that are coming up. Is the amount of people that are coming from the southern border that are making some of the parts of the system collapse. Um, is this something that could be applied somehow by analogy to other areas of the law, or they need to create something else to fix this situation that is going on in the United States?
Well, that's a good question, Juan. Um, there's been an increase from the news reports of people coming in from the southern border. Uh, in terms of the practice, we haven't seen a huge amount of increase. So, it makes me wonder whether some of this, you know, quote unquote invasion talk or this increased um, immigration that they're talking about is more a political issue because they're trying to undercut the Republicans always try to undercut the Democrats always try to undercut the Republicans, and now that a Democrat's in the office, it sounds like that this might be a political issue more than an actual real issue. In terms of the system collapsing, I don't see the system collapsing. It obviously needs to be revised. I mean, we talk about Republicans and Democrats. Some of the best and most favorable policies towards immigrants were done by Republicans, by Ronald Reagan and George Bush #1, because they understood that the United States is a safety valve for Latin American countries, Central American countries, and Mexico, so that people have hope. They can come to the United States. There's always the refrain that a person with a full belly and money in their pockets doesn't become a communist, and that was part of the Cold War policy that we had. And so we've kind of gotten away from that for some reason. But I don't see the system collapsing. It definitely needs to be retooled.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Frank. And if you have any question, please don't forget that you can call. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. We are talking with one of the attorneys in the law firm of Margaret W. Wong and Associates. So if you have any questions, please feel free to text them, to write them down on this Facebook Live, and we're going to have the attorney Frank to answer your question. So, attorney, we have the first question from today, and this person says, "Hi, how difficult is it to get a work visa for an Indian person? Thank you."
Well, generally speaking, to get a work visa, you have your H visas. In order for a foreign person, a non-U.S. citizen or non-legal permanent resident, to get a work authorization, there has to be a company that asks you to come work, #1. #2, there's various steps that they have to do in terms of getting a labor certification, because they have to be able to show that an American can't fill that job. There's a need to go outside of the United States. And so, this is an issue. This is something that we handle in, we have a couple of attorneys that handle that specific question here at the firm. But I would suggest that you contact a lawyer, an immigration lawyer on that issue. You can always call Ms. Wong, because we can take care of it too.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Frank. And don't forget that the law office or the office of the attorney Margaret W. Wong has 15 attorneys that are working for you, and they can help you in your immigration case. So if you need any information, please feel free to call the phone number 216-279-3984. 216-279-3984 is the phone number that you can call, and somebody is going to talk in your language, either if it's Hindi, if it's French, Albanian, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, English, Cantonese, Mandarin, Korean. There's a lot of languages that are spoken in the office of the attorney Margaret W. Wong. So please call the phone number 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. The next question we have is, hi, I requested my husband. He's from Nigeria. I am U.S. citizen naturalized, but it's been almost 2 years and we have no interview date yet. He's stuck in Nigeria and we are suffering that we don't have him here with us.
Well, that's I'm sorry to hear that. Partly due to the pandemic and partly due to sometimes inefficiency, people do get stuck. This is definitely a question that you should have somebody look at Look at USCIS, maybe even contact the consulate. That's something that you need to talk to a lawyer for, and we can do it here.
Okay, thank you so much, attorney. Don't forget that the law office of the attorney Margaret W. Wong has offices in 9 cities of the United States: Atlanta, Chicago, Columbus, Cleveland, Memphis, Minneapolis, Nashville, New York, and Raleigh, North Carolina. And the phone number is just one: 216-279-3984. 216-279-3984 is the phone number that you can call right now. So, Attorney Frank, how difficult is to be successful in an appeal when you have a removal order from the immigration court?
So the appellate process uh, in immigration court, you have your immigration court with your immigration judge. They'll render a decision after however long that takes, whether it's a year or 2 years or 3 years or more. And after you get your decision, if it's a negative decision, which is something that you're referencing, if they order removal, for example, then you have 30 days from the date of 30 days of the date of the journal entry. And so there's a packet that you fill out. You don't have to put all of your arguments together and get all the papers, but there's certain specific papers that they need. They need the notice to appeal form. They need the copy of the judgment entry, and then you file it. Okay, and then after that, it goes to Virginia, where the Board of Immigration Appeals is. This is all paperwork. This is not, you don't have to argue like you did in the immigration court. It's all paperwork, and it takes them time to process it because they get appeals from all over the United States, and multiple appeals from multiple courts, and so they will then set a briefing schedule, whether it takes 6 months, 3 months, 9 months for them to set a briefing schedule. And then after you get the briefing schedule, that's when you file your arguments. Now, it depends on what the issue is. I mean, I've won, and the firm's won many BIA appeals, but a lot of it depends on what the facts are and what the law is. Just because you appeal doesn't mean you win. Just because you appeal doesn't mean you lose. It just really depends on the circumstances.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Frank. If you need more information, please don't forget to call. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. If you need an answer, if you need information about immigration, don't forget to call 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. You can call and ask for the schedule of the next visits of the attorney Margaret W. Wong, and you can make an appointment in your city. So don't forget to call 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. Okay. The next question is, hi, I was told that I can file for H2 visa to work in agriculture. Is it too difficult to get? Thanks.
Yeah, so in one sense it is difficult, in the other sense it's not difficult. So what has to happen is your employer or your prospective employer has to do all the work. I mean, essentially they offer you a position and then they have to do the work with the Department of Labor to make sure that there's a space available, and then they do it. So the H visas are something that your employer is going to get for you. So you really don't. I mean, you need a lawyer, or they need a lawyer to help you. But that's not. I mean, you have to have a job offer. So that's the starting point.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Frank. Don't forget that the attorney Margaret W. Wong has offices in 9 cities of the United States: in Atlanta, Columbus, Chicago, Cleveland, Memphis, Minneapolis, Nashville, New York, and Raleigh, North Carolina. And the phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. The next question we have is, my two nephews and my two sons came from Venezuela in September. They are very young. Almost all of them were released, but my son who is 20 was not released. They entered together. He is desperate, and we are too. Why did this happen, and what can we do for him? Because we have tried everything, and we are still struggling here in Louisiana with this case.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. That's horrible news. Well, so in order to get a bond, in order to get an immigration bond, you have to show that you're not a flight risk and you're not a danger to the United States. Okay, I don't know what what your son's circumstance is, why they denied the bond, whether it was because they think he's a flight risk or not. If he's gone to court and had a decision, we'd have to see what the decision was, what the basis of denying the bond was. We have to find out whether a bond was even requested. And the issue comes down to whether he's a flight risk or whether he's a risk, if flight risk or a danger. Now, if he doesn't have a criminal record or anything, then there should be no reason that they keep him if he doesn't have a criminal record in the United States. So it puts a big question mark there why they haven't released him. If they keep him too long, there is a remedy called habeas corpus, which would have to be filed in the federal court. We've done that here many times, but these are complicated issues, and so we'd have to take a look at it. My suggestion is you contact a lawyer immediately to see what the problem is, and we can, if you want to contact us, we can definitely look at it and try to straighten it out.
Okay. Thank you so much, Attorney Frank. And yes, please, if you have these issues and nobody's giving you an answer, you need to talk to a good attorney. And the attorney, Margaret W. Wong, she has built this law firm since 1977, and over 15 attorneys are working with her in all of the cases and traveling to all of the cities that they have offices, and even to the border. They are traveling there just to defend your immigration case. So please call the phone number 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. This next question is a lot more simple, I would say. I just got my green card. Is it okay to go on an international cruiser only with my green card, since I don't have my national passport? I think it's from the nation that this person belongs to.
Well, I mean, that depends on the country that you're going to. I wouldn't leave without a passport, because you don't know. I mean, that's a very good question. We'd have to look at that issue. That's not something that I know off the top of my head.
Yeah. So, well, I think people don't get checked up in the countries that they visit, but they get checked up when they
come back
to the States. So, is it okay to enter only with a green card here?
I don't think I would do that, to be honest with you. They definitely call the office. I certainly wouldn't do it. I don't think you can. I think you would need some kind of verification of exit and entrance.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds very logic. So if you need more information before you do that, please call the office. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 279 3984 is the phone number that you need to call and talk to any of the attorneys. Somebody is going to speak your language, is going to talk to you, and is going to receive your request uh, for the immigration concern. So we have more questions, but um, don't forget that the office of the attorney Margaret W. Wong is working in 9 cities of the United States, and all of them are working for you every single day of the year. So we have another question. Um, is it easier to get a work permit if you file online? That's what I've been told.
Um, there's been a lot of automation with USCIS and with the immigration courts. There's been a lot of automation. It anytime that you are seeking some significant legal benefit, it's my recommendation that you get the assistance of a lawyer, because you never know if you're going to make a mistake, or things could be sitting in limbo and you not know it because you don't know what to look for. So my suggestion is that if you're going to try to do something yourself, you first talk to a lawyer so that they can give you a blueprint, a map of what you need to be looking for.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Frank. And yeah, this is a question that you may want to talk to an attorney, just not to waste your money and your time. So please don't forget to call 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. The next question is, can I wait for my EU visa in my country?
That's a very good question. And I don't know the answer off the top of my head, to be honest with you. I think you may be able to, but I don't want to tell you that to do that, because yeah, that's a tricky question.
Yeah, I think some people that are removed from the United States, they can still apply for or wait for the EU visa. But if you make a decision of leaving the country, that is something that is going to be different. So please, before you do that, talk to an attorney, talk to a good attorney that can help you out with this information. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. Um, my brother deported last week to Egypt because he has aggravated felony, and his case is still pending in the circuit court. All of the family is here. Mom has citizenship. Can he come back to the United States? How can mom apply for family-based immigration visa? Thank you.
Well, if he has an aggravated felony, it depends on what the felony is, but aggravated felonies are the most serious type of felonies. They have the most serious consequence. You say the case is still pending in the circuit court. I mean, is that the criminal case, or is that the immigration case? That's something that would need to be looked at. In terms of coming back, it would be very difficult. It depends on what the aggravated felony is. We'd have to check to see whether there would be a waiver available. They're not issued very often, especially with an aggravated felony. This is something that you would need to have somebody look at the facts of the case about.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Frank. And don't forget that the law office of Margaret W. Wong has 15 attorneys that are working to help you out with your immigration case. So don't forget to call the phone number 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. And this next question that we have here is, um, is it true that asylum cases are going to be limited next year by the government of the United States?
Uh, the short answer is no, because I mean, we don't know what countries are going to require asylum. I mean, there's a war, and I mean, there's a war in Ukraine. We don't know where wars are going to break out, so it's not asylum isn't limited uh, like that. So the short answer is no.
Okay. Thank you so much, attorney. And one more question is about the public charge. Uh, if I if I have a pending request, is the decision of changing the public charge rule next year going to affect me somehow? I've heard that the changes are going to be positive.
Unfortunately, I'm not really entirely clear what the question is exactly. You know, if you've been a public charge, if you have, um, you know, if you've benefited from welfare or some kind of government benefit, that does impact your immigration status. And so it is important to not worry about what's going to happen in the future. You should focus on now. I mean, if things happen in the future that are beneficial, then obviously that's good. But you want to look at your case as it is right now. That's probably the best way to analyze it. So you probably should talk to a lawyer.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And we should know that we need to talk to an attorney, because some people, attorney Frank, they try to solve their situations and they go to an attorney. Just like people go to the doctor, they go to the attorney, and the attorney gives them the advice or the orientation that they need. Then they go and they talk to the neighbor, who is probably a designer or a remodeling person, or a landscaper, and they give you a different answer, and then you change your mind because the landscaper told you something about the law that you already spoke to the immigration attorney, and you are paying more attention to someone who is not a professional in this area instead of listening to the attorney. So this is very common in the Hispanic culture, and I know in some other cultures. But I hope that people are not just following that pattern, but also trying to find a better way to get through. Okay, so um, this last question from today is, I would like to know, um, what are the requirements for a person to qualify um, for a work permit?
Well, you know, that's a good question. A lot of these are work permit questions. And again, you know, you just don't come to the United States and get a work permit. Okay. It has to be something that, well, you can get a work permit if you've applied for 42B or an I-589, if you've already done that with USCIS the or with the court. And so if you've done that, it's not that difficult. Okay. Uh, However, you know, if you file those things, then the government already knows who you are, and you're already in proceedings of some sort, whether it's, you know, whether you're filing a USCIS petition, or whether you're filing a defensive, you know, you're trying to remain in the United States through asylum or cancellation or removal. So, you know, a work permit under those circumstances usually isn't difficult to get. You know, if you're talking about getting a visa to work, that's a different story. You need to have somebody petition for you. You have to have a job offer, and then they go through their internal, you know, things that they have to do, and then they get a labor certification from the government.
Thank you so much, attorney. Well, our time is up for today, and thank you so much for each of your answers. We receive a lot of random questions from the audience, but if you need more information, you need to bring your paperwork to the office, talk to one of the attorneys, and they will give you an answer and give you directions of what you need to do in order to get your immigration relief. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. You can talk to the attorney, Frank Krajenki. I like your last name, Frank Krajenki, and he will help you out. And he is one of the awesome attorneys in the law firm of Margaret W. Wong and Associates. 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. Thank you so much, attorney, and see you next time.
Thank you, Juan Carlos.
Thank you. And don't forget that you can call 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984, attorney Margaret W. Wong with over 45 years of experience.